Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here, back again with another repair video for you. Yes, I guess you could call this a repair. Behind me is a, what year is that? Production date of 5 of 98, so it's a 1998 Mazda 626. It has a broken antenna. Well, that sucks. Power antennas were really popular in the mid-90s and such, but they kind of didn't work out. You forget and leave your radio on and you drive into the car wash and it would get ripped off, or it would get all rusted up and sort of stick, and honestly a real pain in the butt. And to tell you the truth, replacing motorized antennas for a car like this, not really worth it. I mean, if you've got something that's really vintage and nice shape, got a nice straight body on it, that kind of thing, fine. Go ahead and replace it with stock parts. And we'll cover the replacement of that at some point if I get one in. I don't really see them all that often because those type of antennas have gone away for those little shark fin kind of things that you see now. These are out there, they're a problem. Now you got no radio, your antenna's busted, what do you do? Simple, easy, cheap solution right here is just one of these plastic whip type antennas, and you know there are lots of different brands of these out there. This one was about 10 bucks at a big box store. Really easy to do. Comes with quote unquote everything you need, and you can just swap out the antenna assembly that you have in there for one of these. You get your radio back, you can drive it through, you know, whatever car wash you want, and everything should be fine because these are flexible. So today we're going to go through the process of putting this here antenna on this here 1998 Mazda 626. Let's get started. Step one, we got to gain access to the trunk. Luckily we have enough room over on this side where the antenna is to get in there. Let's get a look and see what we got. Now we're inside the trunk, and there's the antenna's right here, and there's a panel in behind that we need to remove. And I believe you just, for these, you can just pop these little plastic clips out, pull the center of it out first, and then the rest of the clip should come with it. So that's what you're looking for there. Looks like there's only the one. Okay, now behind this panel here is the antenna assembly, and I thought it was motorized, and it is not. It's just one of those kind of antennas that you can, I'm not sure if you can screw it in or out or pull it in and out, but many times what you'll see back here is a motorized assembly for this. This is like a tube that goes down here that I believe the old antenna used to push in and out of, so maybe it was like some kind of manual deal. The same thing applies no matter what type of antenna assembly you have here, whether it's this type or otherwise. You pretty much are going to go through the same process no matter what. The main thing is that you get it hooked up to your new antenna, which hopefully won't present issues for you. I suppose as long as we're back here, we'll go with step one and unplug it. Maybe that's not the way this one's going to work. This is the actual part of the antenna itself. Well, maybe I'll see if I can get it out of there first. Hopefully we can even do this, because if we can't plug into the new assembly, it's gonna be very difficult to do this. This was supposed to be easy. All right, at some point we're gonna have to remove this part, this nut that holds the top part of the assembly on, no matter what type of antenna you have. They do make special tools for this. This is one from Honda. Doesn't look like it's gonna fit on this Mazda, but you can see that they have a tool, so it's completely pass through. You can drop it on down and loosen up the I've got a 19mm wrench here that goes onto it. You put it on here, you loosen it up, you take it out. Hopefully it's not too corroded and it comes out. You can grab a pair like channel locks or something. I mean, if you're going to replace the antenna and you know you're going to do it, and you're not really trying to save this upper piece here, well, fine, grab a pair of channel locks or something to turn this off. But what I'm going to use today is a pair of needle nose pliers that are slightly modified, as you can see. I just took them over to the bench grinder and just took a little bit off of them. These seem to work pretty well for this sort of thing.
Okay, now normally before I start loosening this up, I'll soak it with a little penetrating oil, and that usually helps a great deal with getting this to break loose. So you might want to soak this with a little penetrating oil before you try to bust it loose. I unfortunately did not do that here.
I hope. We may have to get out the channel locks. Now when doing this, be careful because you could slip off and damage the finish, so obviously try and avoid that. There we go. Thankfully it broke loose. I like it when they cooperate. Sometimes they don't cooperate. And now we've got the piece that holds this whole upper part on, so we can pull off this part here, this little insulator, or I don't know what you want to call that, but we can now take the assembly out from inside the back of this quarter panel. Alright, coming back in the trunk here, looks like to do that we just have to remove this 10mm nut here. Be able to pull that out. And now we got our antenna assembly for all it's worth in our hands. So now it looks like I'll need two hands to disconnect this part from the inside of this, because I believe it's corroded up into that area. So we'll see how successful we are. I'm going to try some penetrating oil and a bigger pair of pliers. My experience with Mazdas is they do tend to corrode up a bit. Well, that is interesting because that is a different type of antenna connection that I may or may not be able to work with. Let's take a look at our kit. Alright, Houston, we have a problem. We have this type of end on the vehicle, and we have this type of end on our new antenna. So we're going to have to get a little creative to try and make this work, because these two things aren't going to go together to give us the antenna connection that we need. There is an option. Let's go over to the kit and let's talk about it. Okay, here we are at the bench. Here's our antenna assembly that we can plug into. Reading through the instructions, I'm not going to go through the specifics of it, but they have the ability to put an extender on here. So we have like a set of these adapters, and then we can actually put this in here, or one of these down inside here, and we can screw our new antenna assembly on top of the outside of it. And I think that's going to have to be our option, because looking at this and the way it's configured, it's not going to work out really any other way. So we're going to have to drill this out, get one of these to go in, and then we can put our antenna on at the end here. Alright, I'll put my safety glasses on. Yeah, okay, put yours on too. So what we've got to do is get one of these ends into here. And in order to do that, we're going to have to drill out this hole to accept this, and then add a set of threads, which is what the tap and die set is for. So I guess the first thing we're going to have to do is figure out which one of these is going to be our guy as far as hooking into this antenna. Because one end, these threads you can see are different on both sides. One end is going to insert into here, which is not that end. That end, and this seems a little long. I mean, it's a candidate, I suppose, but what I want is, when I'm done screwing this down, I want it to fit as flush as possible, to look as natural as possible. So that one is a contender, I suppose. I'm liking this, so I'm gonna check my taps, find out what size we've got here, what our thread pitch is. I'm assuming that this is going to have a metric thread to it. In this set, metric stuff's here on the right, and we have a gauge that we can use to measure thread pitch. That's what these do. And you lay them onto here and find out what your thread pitch is. But this is a coarse thread pitch, so we're going to go for these larger ones. I'm guessing that is like a 1. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's too aggressive. This might be... Nope, there it is. Just found it. When you find it, it'll live down in there comfortably. So this is a 125 thread pitch. It'll fit right down in there, like so. So we know we got 125. I'm guessing this opening to be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 8 millimeter. So let's see if I got an 8x125 tap. Actually, it's more like 6 millimeters is what it is. And I'm not sure if I have that tap. Yeah, here's a 6x1. So if I can find, in fact, I just found it. Here's another quick way to like sort of cheat it and find out what your thread pitch is just you know what the thread pitch is listed on here. Like this one's listed as 1. This is a 6x1 tap that you probably can't see because it's so rusted up. But in the same way you lay the gauge down in there, I just lay the tap down in the threads of the whatever it is that I'm doing, and it looks like we can use this 6x1. So we found our tap. Now we've got to drill the hole the size, make sure we don't drill too deep, tap it out, run the fastener down in there. Now we drill and get this in here securely. It's probably going to be critical to our success. We also want to make sure that we can go straight in. This drill bit's just a little too small. This is a 3/16. Now we don't really need to go any deeper than these threads. To get the depth that I want and not screw this up, I'm going to show you a little trick. Take a piece of masking tape. And I only want it to go in probably no farther than that. That being the case, I can just put this piece of tape on this drill bit, and the piece of tape will tell me pretty much when I've gone about as far as I want to go. So I'm only going in that far, which should be more than enough for our threads. Now, I'm glad I took this off the car, because if you're trying to drill on stuff and you got the car body there, and if anything happens, well, it could go wrong real quick. So it's best to take this kind of stuff off the car anyway and over to the bench. That way you don't like go to one side and end up drilling a hole in the rear quarter. That would be an awful day, actually. I have an adjustable regulator here. Now you don't want to run your tap in dry, so always a good idea to add a little bit of lubricant, either to your tap itself or to the surface that you're going into. I have transmission fluid in my little oil can. Everybody always asks why it's red. Just because I had it around. And then the idea is to stay as straight as possible as you're getting this started. And don't be afraid to go slow. It's not a race. And once it bites in, you're in business. And it looks like it's just big enough. Might be at our limit there. Got some nice threads there. I think we just need to get a pair of pliers or something on here to help run this down. Luckily there's a spot right here in the middle that I can do this with. Not going down as far as I would have liked, but let's see where we're at. Hate to have to drill it deeper. Actually, with just a little bit of movement here, I think we got it here. Let me give you a close-up. Alright, this is where we're at, and I just moved this part down just a little bit. But looking at this, I'm pretty happy. It will serve its function, and I think we'll do quite well. So let's take this off, reinstall our assembly back in the car, and see what we got. Well, before we get this all down in there, I suppose we should plug it in again. Be much easier out here. We can't forget about our lower attachment here with the 10mm nut. Just gonna put it on sort of finger tight for now and get everything squared away up top before I tighten that down. Okay, we can get our outer collar on here. Let me slip our retaining nut. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's what it's called, but I think that'll do nicely. It's just a matter of tightening up this 10mm nut. And then this was, the cable was secured to the body here like that with this plastic clip. I'm going to restore that. Reinstall our clip into the trunk. It's just a matter of finding where the hole is. Lock it in. You're done.
Was picked up for this guy you didn't know. Later on, he became your husband.
The $5.99 Great Haircut Sale is back at Great Clips.
We're not advertising for Great Clips, but we got radio. That's a good sign. Let's wrap this up. You know what, before I go, I know somebody's going to ask. What about AM?
We have 100,000
we got AM too.
In the country. We've had 22 incidents.
Well, it should be a pretty straightforward operation. Not normally do I find that I have to go in and do drilling and tapping in order to install one of these assemblies. Normally I just take out the old, put in the new, screw it together, and it's on its way. You got a little bonus in that, and you get to see a little bit of how to drill and tap a hole, so bonus for you. Antenna installation on this type of antenna, like I said, this will really come in if you have a power antenna and you have a broken power antenna. You can replace just the mast assembly in those power antennas for the most part. They make them so that you don't have to replace the entire motor and everything in order to get those fixed. I could go on and on about power antennas. I remember working at the dealer. You know, they would just write it up as a power antenna for about a half-hour worth of work. Well, sometimes it ended up taking a lot more. It seems so simple to get involved with power antennas, or just antennas like this, but it can really get complicated depending upon the location and, you know, what's wrong, and any number of things could be wrong. You got to take that nut off on the top, and well, if it doesn't want to come off, then you got a fight on your hands. And if the old mast doesn't want to come out, then you have to use other methods to do that. So if you just want to cut the cord and just be done with it, I suggest getting one of these like $10 kits, and you can just install it in its place, get rid of that power antenna assembly. You don't have to worry about it if you're going through the car wash. So I'm hoping this is a less expensive alternative for you if you're faced with a really expensive repair on an older car. That's what I'm here for. Anyway, I am Eric the Car Guy, and you can always find me at EricTheCarGuy.com, where if you have automotive questions, it's probably a better way to say it, I would ask that you type in a couple of keywords into that there search function that you will find on the homepage. Something like broken antenna. This video should come up. If that doesn't work for you, feel free to sign up for our forum. It is absolutely free. All you need is an email address. Just be sure to respond to the confirmation email that you should get. If you don't get it, check your spam, bulk folder, firewall. Ask somebody as far as where that might be, because if you don't do that, you can't complete registration. And once you complete registration, then you can sign up for the forum and ask your question over there, and me and some other happy, friendly people will try to help you with your automotive issues. It's just what we do. You can connect with me socially on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, and I close each and every one of my videos with, say it with me, be safe, have fun, and stay dirty. I will see you next time.